Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Chanda Nitai Gaura Chanda Gaura Hari. Jaya Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Radhe. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Loving grace, ACBSP Prabhupada ki. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prabhupada Shatara Shatashi Shimad. His divine loving grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki. Nanta Goti Vaishnavadin ki. Namacharya Das Thakur ki. Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Pramunitananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki. Vrindavana Dama ki. Mathura Dama ki. Dwarka Dama ki. Mayapur Dama ki. Gunga Maya ki. Jamuna Maya ki. Tulsi Devi ki. Bhakti Devi ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Gaur Premanand Haribol. All glories to some devotees. All glories to some devotees. All glories to some devotees. All glories to Shishi Guru Shri Gauranga. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Channa Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Channa Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Vradadanandana Yashodanandana Vrajajanadandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vraja Janarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nittai go Haribo, 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 Nittai go Haribo. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prabhu Sutara Sri Shimad His Divine Loving Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Gaur Premananda Haribo. All glories to the simple devotees. All glories to the simple devotees. All glories to the simple devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 86, texts 32 through 35. So I'll just quickly read through the Sanskrit and the translations, and then we'll focus on text 35. Svavachastadvatam kartum asmad drikacharo bhavan yad atai kanta bhaktan me nananta shrir ajapriyaha. This is King Bahulashva speaking to Lord Krishna. You have said, neither Ananta, goddess Shri, nor unborn Brahma is dearer to me than my unalloyed devotee. Unquote. To prove your own words true, you have now revealed yourself to our eyes. Text 33. Ko nu twach charanambojam evam vid visrajet pumam niskinchananam shantanam muninam yas tvam atmada. What person who knows this truth would ever abandon your lotus feet when you are ready to give your mercy? When you are ready to give yourself, your very self, to peaceful sages who call nothing their own. Let me read that again a little more clearly. What person who knows this truth would ever abandon your lotus feet when you are ready to give your very self to peaceful sages who call nothing their own? Text 34. Yovatirya yador vangshe niranam sang sarvatam iha Yushove tene touch chantyai trilokya vijanapaham. Appearing in the Yadu dynasty, you have spread your glories, which can remove all the sins of the three worlds, just to deliver those entrapped in the cycle of birth and death. Today's verse, Namas. We will start now with the transliteration, and we'll chant it. Namaha. Obeisances Tubhyam, to you, Bhagavate, the Supreme Lord, Krishnaya, Krishna, Akunta, unconstricted, made a say, whose intelligence, Narayanaya Rishaye, to the sage Naranarayana, Sushantam, perfectly peaceful, Tapaha, austerities, Iyuyashe, undergoing. Namastubhyam Bhagavate, Namastubhyam Bhagavate Krishnaya Kunta Medase Krishnaya Kunta Medase Narayanaye Rishaye Narayanaya Rishaye Sushantam Tapa Iyushe Sushantam Tapa Iyushe Namastubhyam Bhagavate Krishnaya Kunta Medase Narayanaya Rishaye Sushantam Tapa Iyushe Namastubhyam Bhagavate Krishnaya Kunta Medase Narayanaya Rishaye Sushantam Tapa Iyushe Namastubhyam Bhagavate Krishnaya Kunta Medase Narayanaya Rishaye Sushantam Tapa Iyushe Namastubhyam Bhagavate Krishnaya Kunta Medase Narayanaya Rishaye Sushantam Tapa Iyushe Namastubhyam Bhagavate Krishnaya Kunta Medase Narayanaya Rishaye Sushantam Tapa Iyushe Namastubhyam Bhagavate Krishnaya Kunta Medase Narayanaya Rishaye Sushantam Tapa Iyushe Namastubhyam Bhagavate Krishnaya Kunta Medase Narayanaya Rishaye Sushantam Tapa Iyushe Namastubhyam Bhagavate Krishnaya Kunta Medase Narayanaya Rishaye Sushantam Tapa Iyushe Namaha Obeisances Tubhyam to you Bhagavate the Supreme Lord Krishnaya Krishna Akunta unconstricted Medase whose intelligence Narayanaya Rishaye to the sage Naranarayana Sushantam perfectly peaceful Tapa austerities. Iyushe, undergoing. And before reading the translation, I just wanted to mention here that this particular verse we're reading from is almost, well, it's a perfect verse, not just from the content, but even the way it's structured. Each line is 8 syllables, and each line rhymes. It's just an amazing, feat to do that in any language, to create a verse like that. So, Shukadev Goswami is an amazing, and Srila Vyasadeva are, an empowered incarnation of Lord Krishna. Here's some of the proof. So, translation: obeisances to you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, whose intelligence is ever unrestricted. Obeisances to the sage Narayana, who always undergoes austerities in perfect peace. Translation again, please repeat. Obeisances to you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, whose intelligence is ever unrestricted. Obeisances to the sage Narayana, who always undergoes austerities in perfect peace. Purport by the servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti comments that the king offered these prayers to encourage Lord Krishna to remain at his home for some days. The king thought, quote, since contact with the Supreme Lord can free anyone from misconceptions and doubts, Krishna's presence in my home will fortify my intelligence so that I can withstand the onslaughts, plural, of material desires. Let me read that again. It's a very powerful, potent sentence. Since contact with the Supreme Lord can free anyone from misconceptions and doubts, Krishna's presence in my home will fortify my intelligence so that I can withstand the onslaughts of material desires. In his expansion as Narayana Rishi, the Lord always resides in Bhadrak Ashram for the good of the whole land of Bharata. And so, he may also create good fortune for the land of Mithila by remaining here for at least a few days. Since Lord Krishna's propensity is toward peace and simplicity, he will certainly prefer my simple home to the excessive opulence of Dwarka. Unquote. Om Ganatamarandasya Ganantana Shalakaya Chakshumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Bandehang Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamshta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitang Tang Sujivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Purajana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitangshta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Narayanam namaskritya naram chayav narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamuduriyat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana Rishi, supremos human beings, to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. So, before we dive into this text this morning, we have this little unfinished business which I'd like to address. It was brought to my attention yesterday that I made we did not get a chance to properly acknowledge and glorify the appearance days and the disappearance day of our some of our great acharyas. I just wanted to quickly mention their names, speak a little bit about one of them. Yesterday was the appearance day. Can anyone remember whose appearance day was yesterday? What's that? Yes, Raghunath Das Goswami. Anyone else? I have a cheat sheet here. I have a list, so I can appear like I know everything, right? No, so it was Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunandana Thakur. I'm not so familiar with, but I've heard about him. Pundarika Vijanidhi and Vishnu Priya, okay, the consort of Lord Chaitanya. And it was also the disappearance day of the Acharya that we are reading, is being quoted this morning, Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur. It was his disappearance yesterday. It was also the Saraswati Puja was celebrated yesterday. And as well as being Vasanta Panchami. Correct me if I'm wrong, does Vasanta Panchami mean first day of spring? Yes? It doesn't seem like spring here in Houston. But I guess that's in a different climate. It is first day of spring. And what's also significant about that day, which we did not mention, was also the day when His Grace, His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami took sannyas. So, in that connection, I'd like to just briefly touch upon Vishnu Priya, and I'd also like to then expand upon something that Bhakti Matthew mentioned yesterday, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, forgive me. Bhakti Patrick mentioned yesterday, class we had to end abruptly at 8:30, so didn't want to elaborate on your point, but you made a very, 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 I thought, very profound point. So I thought that would be appropriate to also talk about that in today's class. So, as we mentioned, Tamal Krishna Maharaj Goswami took sannyas yesterday. That holiest of vows, dedicating one's life completely to the service of the Lord with his mind, words, and intelligence. And it's also the day when Vishnu Priya appeared in this world, the consort of Lord Chaitanya. So I did a little research, not enough to give it full justice, but there is a mention in the Chaitanya Mangala of a conversation between Vishnu Priya and Lord Chaitanya. Vishnu Priya, she was the second wife of Lord Chaitanya's, because Lakshmi Priya, his first wife, she died out of separation from the Lord. So Vishnu Priya described that she was extremely beautiful and extremely devoted. And every day she would go to the bank of the Ganges, and when she saw Sachi Mata, she would offer her most humble obeisances. And Sachi Mata began to think within her mind, this would be a wonderful wife for my Nimai. And so it came to pass that a wedding was performed with Lord Chaitanya. He was a very grand ceremony took place between Vishnu Priya and she married Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nimai Pandit at the time. And it describes that the devotees were drowning in an ocean of bliss. And those who didn't drown in the ocean of bliss were floating on the ocean of bliss. So, take your pick. Either way, you are greatly fortunate, especially if you're there at that wedding ceremony. So, Vishnu Priya, one evening she came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and said, "My dear Pananath," which means, "O Lord of my life, please tell me this is not true. I've heard a rumor that you are going to take sannyas. And if you do this, my life will be useless. I might as well just drink poison." Right? And Lord Chaitanya said, do not worry, my dear Vishnu Priya. You are dearer to me than life itself. But please consider that I will, wherever I go, I will always be here with you. You have been given the name Vishnu Priya, which means one who is dear to Lord Vishnu. So fulfill the purport of this name and always think of me. So as soon as Lord Chaitanya said that, he then manifested his four-handed form as his Lord Vishnu form. And all of a sudden her heart became like totally saturated with bliss, and she became peaceful. And she understood. She told Lord Chaitanya, yes, do what you have to do you must do what will make you happy. No one can restrict you. So she, at that moment, of course, she was, she's an eternal consort of the Lord, so she was never actually ever separated from the Lord. But sometimes the Lord, he removes himself from the devotees' presence to increase their feelings of separation, as mentioned in the Shikshastakam prayers. So, yesterday, Bhakta Patrick brought up the point that in the name, in someone's name comes with that, almost like an instruction of what, we should become, what we should aspire for in life. I just thought that was a very, very helpful. Even those of us like Matthew, what does Matthew mean? It's a Hebrew word. It probably has a special meaning. I don't know if you know, but he was one of the apostles, right? And so when the parents gave that name, live up to that quality, Similarly, you were given the name Patrick, so there's a meaning behind that. I don't know, but generally names are given in the old days when people gave names. Now it's just become forgotten, we just give names. But in earlier ages, people giving the name was very, very important. It was a for your life, you live up to this virtue. So, in honor of Tamal Krishna Goswami's taking sannyas, I'd like to read from a few passages from the Lilamrita about when he first decided to totally, in his own words, when he decided to totally dedicate himself to Srila Prabhupada. And this happened in Seattle when he was still like a brahmachari. And Srila Prabhupada, he was preaching to all these young American boys and girls, and they're asking very challenging questions. And some of his answers, Srila Prabhupada's answers were so like, focused and so, he answered their questions so directly and logically. Like, for example, one challenging question was, well, why do we have to bow down? What's all this bowing down about? Right? And Srila Prabhupada said, everyone has to bow down. Everyone has to bow down to birth, death, and disease. So either bow down to birth, death, or disease, or you bow down to Krishna. So the advantage of bowing down to Krishna is you no longer see any birth, death, and disease. Right? And then someone else asked a challenging question, well, why do we have to, why do we have to have a movement? Why do we have to, have this, won't the movement get in the way of service to the Lord? And Srila Prabhupada said, but the movement is, the Lord says, surrender to me. The movement, the Lord says, serve me. Krishna is saying, serve me. Like God is great, and the purpose of life is to serve the Lord. So, we are saying the same thing. There's no difference. But he said, and this is very this is at the point where Tamal Krishna Maharaj became ecstatic. When Srila Prabhupada said, but in this age, there's sometimes a recommended process. Just like when during the winter time, right? It's recommended you wear a coat. You wear winter clothing to You wear winter clothing to protect you. That's recommended for that particular age. So similarly, for this age, this winter age of Kali, there's a recommended means of protection, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So when Tamal Krishna Maharaj heard this, he spoke thus. At that point, and there was many other, back and forth with the guests, but I just extracted some of the highlights. At that point, there's one more very significant point here. Srila Prabhupada said, we are not forcing, he was encouraging everyone to accept Krishna consciousness, and they knew if they accepted it, that they would have to become committed if they accepted. And they were afraid of doing that, so they kept asking all these questions. It went on to 10:30 at night. It just went on and on. So Srila Prabhupada, he said, look, he didn't say look, he said, I am not forcing, I am simply presenting for your judgment. Use your intelligence. You can accept, you cannot accept. Because I came empty-handed, and if you don't accept, I'll leave empty-handed, but there's no loss, there's no gain. And Prabhupada began to laugh. He was totally detached. Right? So he said, we're never, says, like for example, he used the example, some Muslims, he said, he used the example, say, they hold the sword in one hand, and they say, accept Allah, right? Jai Shri Shri Nila Madhava Ki Jai. And if you don't accept, then off with your head, right? That was force, right? But so we're not forcing. We're simply presenting for your judgment, for your consideration. So that this is where Tamal Krishna said, at that point, I could recognize that Prabhupada was my complete Lord and Master. Whenever he would get up from the Vyasa-san, I would just grip his feet and hold them and hold them. I would hold his feet at my head, and I wouldn't let him walk at all. He was just so eager to get Prabhupada's mercy. I was so eager to be at Prabhupada's lotus feet. I wanted to be with him as much as I could. I would feel very torn apart when he would go to another temple. I remember sometimes after the program, he would finish eating a piece of fruit and would throw the peel to the floor. He says, and then we'd all, go for the fruit. He said, like little puppies. It was Prabhupada would lean back and laugh. He thought we were making very nice advancement because he recognized the eagerness of the devotees to have the association of Krishna through sadhu sangha and through taking that essential step in spiritual life, which is to accept a spiritual master. So, this in today's verse, how does this relate to what we're speaking about today? Well, here it says Krishna's presence. Here King Bahulashva is saying, since contact with the Supreme Lord can free anyone from misconceptions and doubts, Krishna's presence in my home will fortify my intelligence so that I can withstand the onslaughts of material desires. That's a very powerful statement, that the onslaughts of material desires. It's not like just, one onslaught, It's continuous onslaughts of material desires, right? That's why Krishna says to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, Aporimana machala pratishtam sumuja apa pavashanti yatvat tattvam yankama pavashanti sarve shashantan avnotina kamagami. One who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires which enter into the ocean enters like rivers into the ocean that is ever being filled, can alone achieve peace, and not one who tries to satisfy these desires. These materials, the material desires are likened to a mosquito bite, right? You itch the desire, and what happens? You itch this mosquito bite. You just want to itch more. It never stops. You make $1 billion, you want to have 2 billion. You have you win this prize or this honor, you want more. It never stops. It may change in its manifestation, but the desire to enjoy can never be satisfied. That's why it's likened to a blazing fire of samsara, like a forest fire. So, to have Krishna's presence in our heart is the goal, okay, of a devotee, to always have Krishna's presence. But who does Krishna like to associate with? Right? You know, we have the example of the Pandavas. It says that Krishna liked to associate with the Pandavas. Why? Because they had such loving relationships with each other. So when Krishna sees that his devotees are worshiping him, not just worshiping him, but having loving relationships, with each other, then he becomes attracted. He wants to reside in that heart that has loving feelings towards other devotees. He wants to reside in that community where the devotees have loving feelings towards each other. He wants to reside in that nation, in that planet, right, where there are loving relations between his devotees. That's why Krishna says, Machata makata prana bodhi antak parasparam katayantas chanamancha tushanti cha ramanti cha. The thoughts of my devotees dwell in me. Their lives are dedicated to me. And they derive great satisfaction and bliss, conversing with one another and enlightening each other about me. So there's a beautiful story I'd like to share. It's my godbrother Sankirtan Das in Vrindavan tells this story. And it's one time there was a monastery, and no one was coming to the monastery. Has anyone heard the story before? Okay, I can tell it. And the monks were getting together and they're wondering, what is going on? No one's coming here. It's getting lonely here. We just stone walls around us and our prayers and our austerities, but no one ever visits. So they had a council and they decided, well, let's go visit. There's this one saintly person. Let's go visit him and ask him, he might be able to give some advice. So they went to him. He lived far off in the woods. And they told him the problem, that a monastery, no one comes. And so the old man, he said, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It's a big problem. I wish I had the answer. So the monks were feeling, oh boy, what are we going to do? And they started to leave. But then as they were leaving, the monk said, but one of the monks amongst you is the Messiah. So the monks got back to their monastery and they're, oh my God, is it Brother Patrick? Is it Brother Matthew? Who could it be? And when they started thinking like that, they started treating each other like, in that way, in a very respectful way. Well, it just so happened that one person one day just came to deliver some milk, or he had to deliver some firewood or whatever it was for the monastery. And all of a sudden he noticed something's changed here. These brothers are so happy and relating to each other in such a loving way. And he went back and he told his family. And so they started visiting the monastery and they started, entering, and the bliss started increasing, and they started feeling blissful. And then it just spread, the word spread, and the more and more people, and then it became full again, the monastery. So it's very instructive for us, not just in a communal sense, but also in our own personal lives. Chanakya Pandit, he says, and the reason why I'm bringing this point up is this is what fortifies our intelligence. When we can have the knowledge, but if we don't have that atmosphere of friends, like last night, Pratavaja Maharaj spoke some very beautiful words at Guru Bhakti's birthday. Right? There's also someone's anniversary yesterday too. Forget their names. A wonderful Vaishnav couple have been celebrating. They've been together for like 20 years, something like that. So Maharaj said that he was one time, he was traveling in I think in North Carolina, one of those southern states, and he came across a church. There was a sign that says, "Friends multiply joy and divide sorrow." You know. So life, there's always going to be our joys and there's always going to be sorrows. Like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress. Happiness and distress is always going to be there. You know. But when we have a community, you know, as such as we have here. That's why I'm so inspired to be here. Actually, this is my first time here, and I'm just really, really, very grateful, to be able to experience seeing the devotees and how they relate to each other. And this inspires me. This genuinely inspires me to see that. And there's no doubt there's always going to be problems, there's always going to be challenges, but that's life, you know. But when we have the association, we can divide those sorrows, just like Srila Prabhupada one time said. If we cooperate and there's success, everyone shares the credit. And if we cooperate and there's a mistake, no one gets the blame, you know. We work together, and that's why Srila Prabhupada explains that you show your love for me by your ability to cooperate. And what does it mean to cooperate? It means to cooperate is that we have a vision, right, of what we're working towards, you know. We may have our faults, we may have our shortcomings, you know. We're all on different, you know, the Bhakti-lata creeper is growing in our hearts, right? And in each heart, the creeper's at different stages, right? So we can't, you know, if someone has a little seedling coming out of their heart, you know, we can't look down and think, oh, you're so small, I'm so tall. No, it has to be watered, right? Brahmanda, Brahmite, Koina, Bhagavan, Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade by Bhakti Lata Bij, right? When one receives the seed of pure devotion, they should become like a gardener and sow the seed in their heart and water it with Krishna's names. When the seed sprouts, it gradually grows until it penetrates the walls of the material universe and then rises up to the spiritual sky, to the topmost spiritual planet, Goloka Vrindavan. Being situated in one's heart and always watered by hearing and chanting, the creeper of devotion grows more and more until it attains shelter at the desired tree, the lotus feet of Nilamadhava. So, I think we'll stop here. I'd like to ask if there's any reflections or questions or things that you remember from today's verse that may be like nourishment in your spiritual life.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for a beautiful class. The way my negative mind thinks when you told that story about the man in the woods that told them there's the Messiah among you, I thought he was going to say there's some really negative person that's bringing everything down, But I was thinking that the power of good and the power of Krishna consciousness is more powerful than negativity. So even in real life, in any community, there may be some negative fault finders and some loving cooperators. And it seems that the power of the cooperators and loving is ultimately more powerful than the negativity. So that in real life, both forces seem to be operating. But just as light is more powerful than darkness, if we follow that verse, Abhikrama Nashasti Pachavayo Vidite Swapamapya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhava. Just a little bit of this Dharma is so powerful. So thank you so much for that story and that point.
Yes, thank you for that sharing that realization. As you were speaking, that just reminded me. I heard a devotee tell the analogy of a butterfly in the cocoon, and sometimes the cocoon is there, and it has to. If you take out the cocoon, the butterfly will not be able to fly because it hasn't had a chance to, get strength. Sometimes pushing out of that cocoon, it needs that to build the strength of the wings. If you just take out the cocoon and the butterfly is not ready to fly. So maybe, I'm suggesting sometimes there is negativity in this world, but my question to you, does negativity have a purpose? Could negativity be something that helps us become stronger in our Krishna consciousness?
Like if you're cooking and there's a fire there and you look away and your hand strays into the fire, the pain that you feel is actually a good thing that tells you to jerk your hand away. So if we don't feel happy, we may be making some offenses in our chanting. So if we're introspective, that dissatisfaction may lead us to the right, some progressive direction.
Yes. Sure, I guess.
So Prabhu, when you were reading, it said that the Lord is staying at Badrik Ashram for the benefit of the world. Can you elaborate, please?
Okay, so this is, let's retrace our steps here. Yes. Obeisances, so it says in the verse, obeisances to the sage Narayana, who always undergoes austerities in perfect peace. And then in the purport, when Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti comments on the thoughts of King Bahulashva, he's saying that in his expansion as Narayana Rishi, the Lord always resides in Bhadarak Ashram for the good of the whole land of Bharata. And so he may also create good fortune for the land of Mithila by remaining here for at least a few days. So wherever there's the execution of devotional service, wherever there's any activities of Krishna consciousness, that creates auspiciousness. Just like Srila Prabhupada says about, hearing about Krishna. He said this in New York. I'll have to give a short answer here because I don't want to go over time. But he said in New York that, this back in '73, even if they don't understand, the chanting, or even if they don't understand what they're hearing in the Bhagavatam, he says, it creates an atmosphere congenial for human society. So, this is the first thought that came to my mind when you asked this, pointed out this when Narayana Rishi are performing devotional service for the good of the whole land of Bharata. So wherever that takes place, it creates auspiciousness. Would anyone else like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I was thinking about what you were comparing violent people to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada's Parampara and Iskcon, how the words Shastra and Sastra are so close. Shastra means sword, right? So, like, within the three sources of our knowledge, the Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Shastra is the final word on whatever we hear, like our instructions from our Guru. A third-class devotee will question, why do I need to do this? And the middle-class devotee will perform it and come back, and the first-class devotee will perform their spiritual master's instructions and go beyond seeing what they are to do. So I just say, instead of going to your spiritual master saying, why do I need to do all these things that you've told me to do, we can look in Shastra to elaborate more introspectively.
Right. Well, thank you all so much for your kind attention, and I'm leaving tomorrow, so I pray that we will meet again. Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanand Hari Bol.